Welcome back to Wiregrass Revolutionary War Veterans. This is Season 1, Episode 5. My name's Philip Kitchens. I'm with the Wiregrass chapter, the Sons of the American Revolution. And today, we're going to be talking about Rueben Ard. Now, Rueben Ard, along with his family, traveled the old federal road into Monroe County, Alabama to burnt corn. From there, they moved back east and settled in Echo, Alabama. Rueben Ard was born on 11 November 1740 to his father James Ard Jr. and his mother Anna Isabel Price in Edgecombe, North Carolina. Rueben, after he grew up, married August Bartell Dixon in Marion, South Carolina. And they had their first son, James Ard, in 1775. And then after the Revolutionary War had ended, they had 8 more sons and 3 more daughters. Now, Rueben Ard joined the militia, and a Revolutionary War voucher shows that Rueben Ard was in the militia in the Washington District of North Carolina on March 23, 1783, and most likely under the command of Colonel John Sevier, who was the commandant of the Washington County Regiment from 1781 to 1783, of the newly formed Morgan District Brigade, commanded by Brigadier General Charles McDowell. It is probable that he may have been a part of the Battle of Eutaw Springs, where on September the 8th, 1781, General Greene led an American force to attack the British force under the command of Alexander Stewart. The Americans started the attack at 9 a.m. with artillery and an advance by the militia. This line consisted of left to right, Hampton, Henderson, Pickens, DeMalmedy, Polk, Marion, and Lee's infantry, and then Lee's cavalry. They were opposed by a British line, and hand-to-hand combat ensued when the militia closed with the British line. Some militia panicked while some held firm, able to fire 17 times before ordered back and replaced by the North Carolina Continentals in a passage of lines. The North Carolina Continentals halted the British advance, but were forced back by a British bayonet charge, only to reform and halt the British a second time. Greene then ordered the Maryland and Virginia Continentals forward in another passage of lines, forcing the British back towards their camp. However, 2 areas of British resistance remained, one at the Brick House, which included a swivel gun, and another on the northern flank. Colonel Washington's cavalry tried to dislodge the northern flank, but Colonel Washington was unhorsed, wounded, and taken prisoner, sitting out the remainder of the war. The northern flank then retreated towards the Brick House. The Brick House now became the focal point of the battle, and when the American artillery assault failed, the house gave the British a focal point to regroup, rally, and re-enter the battle. The British then attacked the American flank in the clearing in front of the Brick House. According to Stewart, the Americans gave way in all quarters, leaving behind them 2 brass 6-pounders and upwards of 200 killed on the field of action and 60 prisoners, amongst whom was Colonel Washington, and from every information about 800 wounded. An attack on the British left by Lee's cavalry failed, and at this point, Greene ordered a retreat with all of the wounded. Greene's army was then able to march back to Burdell's plantation in column formation with a cavalry picket covering the orderly retreat. Now, rain prevented the continuation of battle the next day. Instead, Stuart buried his dead, destroyed supplies, including 1,000 muskets, and retreated towards Monk's Corner, leaving behind 70 wounded. Greene pursued Stuart as far as Martin's Tavern near Ferguson Swamp. At this point, on 11 September, Stuart was within range of support of the British garrison in Charleston. Now, Stuart wrote a letter to Cornwallis on 11 September 1781 that stated, "With particular satisfaction, I have the honor to inform your lordship that on the 8th instant, I was attacked by the rebel General Greene with all the force he could collect in this province and in North Carolina. And after an obstinate engagement which lasted nearly 2 hours, I totally defeated him and took 2 6-pounders. Now, General Greene wrote a letter to George Washington on 17 September 1781 that stated, "Be far the most obstinate fight I ever saw. Victory was ours, and had it not been for one of those little incidents which frequently happens in the progress of war, we should have taken the whole British army." Neither army left the vicinity for at least a full day following the battle. When Greene withdrew, he left a strong picket to oppose a possible British advance. While Stuart withdrew the remnants of his force towards Charleston, his rear was apparently under constant fire, at least until meeting with reinforcements near Monk's Corner. Despite winning a tactical victory, the British lost strategically. Their inability to stop Greene continuing operations forced them to abandon most of their conquest in the South, leaving them in control of a small number of isolated enclaves at Wilmington, Charleston, and Savannah. The British attempt to pacify the South with loyalist support had failed even before Cornwallis's surrender at Yorktown. After the war, around 1815, Rueben Ard, at 75 years old, moved with his family along the old Federal Road into Monroe County. Monroe County was established in 1815 by proclamation of the governor of the Mississippi Territory from land ceded by Creek Indians in the Treaty of Fort Jackson in 1814. The Mississippi Territory spanned from Mississippi through the southern present-day Alabama to the Georgia line from 1798 to 1817. Now, from 1817 to 1819, it became the Alabama Territory, and in 1819, Alabama became a state. Monroe County was divided into several counties to include Henry County in 1819 and then Dale County in 1824. In 1816, Rueben Ard was part of the federal census for Monroe County in the burnt corn community. He and his family migrated back to southeast Alabama and settled in the Echo community in the newly formed Dale County around 1825. Rueben Ard Sr. died on February 29, 1836, at the age of 96 years old, and was buried here at Bethel Methodist Church Cemetery beside his wife and son and other family members. There are still descendants of Rueben Ard living in the Wiregrass, not only with the surname of Ard, but also Hannah, Ellis, Demia, Glenn, Gaynor, Barrow, and Harper, just to name a few. As always, we should be thankful for the Revolutionary veterans and their families for setting the pathway for this great nation that we live in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and will like, subscribe, and even leave a comment. And until next time, huzzah.